So anyways, I suppose maybe we should, get into the actual decent part of the show.
I mean, we can try.
If you want to be a degenerate and hear what we were just talking about, the pre-show is fantastic tonight. But if you enjoy it, make sure you go over to subscribestar.com and search Life Short Live Free, and you can hear the pre-show. So
you can pay money to hear us talk about chips and
yeah, I think I'm going to cut that out of the actual podcast too. No, we're just gonna start.
No, you can't. Maybe bleep it or something.
No.
You're fine.
I'm just gonna use that new software that I was telling you about. You can like change any word that you want. Oh
yeah,
that is so freaking cool. Did you see that? I saw one the other day. I can't remember what it was. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger in it's the deep fake stuff. So they faked Arnold Schwarzenegger's face onto, I can't remember what it was, like some female's body. But it's like
good.
But it's like so stupid, like realistic looking. It's absurd. Like we're to the point where like the whole deep fake stuff. We never talked about that. We had that. We were supposed to talk about that on a podcast.
I think we
never did.
I think we did. Not really. Probably at too much length,
depth,
but
that shit's getting crazy.
Have you seen? Have you heard of? I think it's called Dolly.
No,
it's AI, in image generation.
I did
stuff
see some
where you can
of
just type in whatever you want, and it comes up with a bunch of different images.
That dude's posting stuff in the Drinking Bros photography or some shit.
That's what that is. But now there's also, in like the last week, they came out with another thing where you can like take a picture of a person and like 5-6 pictures or whatever, just different angles and shit. And you can label that person, and you can tell the AI, make an image with this person doing this.
Oh my God, dude.
It's in this style. It's freaking nuts.
That's bad. That's gonna, like, what could that be used for good wise? Like,
right?
Compared to horrible wise. Like, there's gonna be so many, like, you're not even gonna be able to believe anything you see anymore. Or somebody, even like politicians, they get caught like screwing puppies or something.
Yeah, that's probably good for them.
That wasn't me. Somebody deep faked that.
Yeah, it's probably good for them. They can get away with anything now.
Oh my God, that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking nuts.
But I did see that AI stuff. Like, it's so super realistic. Like, you could not convince me that picture that I saw, it was like an old couple.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't convince me that it wasn't real.
There's very little things that it does get a little bit wrong. Like the guy that I was posting in the Drinking Bros group, that old couple, their irises, I believe. That's what the color part of your eye is, right?
Yeah,
the iris.
I think so, yeah.
They're a little abnormally large, but other than that, it's like the details in your eyes and stuff. It has a hard time getting right, but it's getting very, very close to.
Well, just think about. I mean, that's like kind of probably in its infancy.
Oh,
fairly
yeah.
new. Like, think about 10 years from now.
Definitely.
Man. Holy crap. Like, we are living in the future. Like,
the future is now.
The future is now, man.
And we're f***ed.
Yeah, we're in a little bit of trouble. Box, I know you hate this question. So what's new in your life? Same old, same old?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm in very high demand this week, though.
Yeah, you are.
Then on the way down here, Moody, I guess I haven't texted him back yet. Moody texted me and asked me to help him tomorrow too. So I have Sam here wanting me to help him, and my other brother wanting me to help him, and then another guy asking me to help him, and then I have my own jobs, and man, you'd think I was rolling the money, but no.
It's nice to be wanted, Box.
It sure is.
Nice to be wanted.
No, that's pretty much all I've got going on in my life, though.
Yeah, pretty much all I do is work. It's been freaking nuts in the shop lately, but we're going to Colorado on Thursday, actually.
Where at in Colorado? Somewhere cool or what?
I can't remember exactly where it is, where they're, because we're going to see my girlfriend's brother and sister-in-law.
Right. I forgot they were out there.
They are staying, like, so she's a traveling PTA, physical therapist assistant, so they do like 3-month stints in different areas, and that's where they are currently. Like an hour east of Denver. So we're gonna probably end up going into Denver, and
that's probably pretty close to the border, ain't it?
To the border of
Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little ways. It's a little ways from there, but we'll probably end up going into Denver. And actually, I think our plan is we're going to go into like Breckenridge, and they got during the summer and fall, you can take the ski lifts up on your bike, and then you can ride down. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's gonna be fun. And I've been out. I'm sure I've talked about it on the podcast. I've been out to Denver area. I don't know, 8, 5, 6, 10, a ton of times. I don't know, probably 8 or 9 times.
More times than you can count?
I can't count that, yes. But that was all just snowboarding in the winter. So I'm kind of excited to go see it like in the fall, and the leaves are turning, and it's going to be
So are they just like the regular ski lifts that just the benches that you have to jump on as they're going up? Or because that's going to be pretty difficult with your bike.
No, they change them out.
Ah, okay.
Retrofit them somehow. I'm not sure how it all exactly works, but they went and did it. But the thing, like we did Ragbri a couple months ago, and the thing that sucked, obviously, is pedaling up the hills. Nobody likes that shit. Well, some people do, and they're psychopaths.
Yeah.
But so you just take the whole lift up, and then you get the whole ride down. You barely any pedaling. You just got to ride the shit out of your brakes. So I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of excited to do that.
Make sure you got good brakes before you go.
I know, right? He told us, make sure you take your brakes in and get them checked. I'm like, oh shit, I haven't done that yet. We're leaving Thursday, so I should probably.
No, it'll be fine. If you get going too fast, just stick your foot in the spokes.
Just fall over.
Yeah. Tommy boy yourself down the hill.
Make sure you have your GoPro on.
Definitely.
Quality entertainment. So yeah, that's about all that's going on in my life. Though I'm kind of excited though. It's been a while since I got out of the shop and did something fun.
You're doing something like every few months, man. You and Kendra go and do a lot of things. You might not feel like you do, but you do. Whereas me, I don't remember the last time I went and did like on any kind of trip.
Well, go on trips then, man. You ain't getting any younger.
I don't have a girlfriend to do things like that with.
Well, get a girlfriend to do things like that with.
I'm too much of a hermit. It's a vicious circle I've got going on here.
I drink because I'm lonely, and I'm lonely because I drink. Chris Stapleton. Wiser words were never spoken. Speaking of, well, I was going to say speaking of wise words, that has absolutely nothing to do with wise words.
Shocker, you were making a shitty segue?
What happened to our segue button? I still got that over there.
It's on your phone.
I should use that. Segue. Lately, there's been a lot of talk about the whole Safety Act that's going on in Colorado. Illinois. So if you're not familiar with this, they just voted this through this year. So come January 1st, the Safety Act will be going into effect. And I find it ironic that it's labeled a Safety Act. First off, they spelled it like retards.
Why did they spell it that way? It's spelled safe -T. Why?
Right.
Why is it that way?
Because it's not actually about safety, so they couldn't let's just
like
make
that's ever stopped them
before.
Let's just
make it sound like safety, so we can. But it's really not about safety. So what it does, it's essentially the biggest part of it, and the part that everybody has a problem with, is it basically does away with cash bail for pretty much every offense. I mean. And cash bail, I mean, if you've never been arrested before, you get arrested for a semi-serious offense, you go to jail, and then you are given basically an option. You either stay in jail until your trial, otherwise you make bail, is what they say, and you pay a certain amount of money, and you can go out on bail. But and then if you don't show up for your hearing, that bail is kept, and you forfeit that money essentially, and then a warrant is put out for your arrest for missing the trial or whatnot. So with bail bondsmen, and actually what I had to do when I was arrested, I had to get a bail bondsman. I paid I think I fronted $100 to the bail bondsman. He paid $2,000. I was arrested for DUI. I'm sure I've talked about this at some point. He paid $2,000, and then when I showed up for my hearing, he got the $2,000 back. So he made $100 off of me, and he got the $2,000 back. So that's how they make money. But what essentially they're doing here in Illinois is they're doing away with all cash bail. So for basically almost every offense, if they're arrested, they're taken in and booked, and then they're like, all right, peace out, see ya. So this is for pretty much everything: burglary, trespassing, drug-induced homicide, so murder, drug-induced homicide, arson, all sorts of horrible, horrible freaking offenses. And they're just saying, well, we have a problem with the criminal justice system, so we're going to let all these people go. And they don't.
That'll make things better. Let's not punish these criminals.
Right? And
then they'll learn their lesson and stop committing crimes.
Well, already in Chicago, well, actually in Illinois, only 12% of reported crimes are actually ever have, only 12% of crimes result in an arrest already. So the chances of you being raped or mugged and then reporting that crime, there's a 12% chance that anything is going to come of that. And you guys see the news. You guys know what's going on in Chicago. Like over every single Labor Day weekend, there's 50, 60, 70 people shot, a dozen killed over every single weekend. And the majority of those, 12% of those, actually result in anybody being arrested for that crime. And now, if they are arrested for that crime, say they did shoot somebody, guess what? They're out. They don't have to sit in jail. They don't have to pay bail. They don't have to do anything. They're just, all right, peace out. Make sure you come back for your court hearing.
I was trying to figure this all out, but I kept seeing things from both sides where, of course, people in support of it were like, no, this is all misinformation, and this isn't at all how it works, and they're trying to spin things, but I don't know, it didn't really seem like they were doing a very good job of spinning it
right
the other way. It seemed like, because what they said was for certain felonies or for certain cases or whatever, it's up to the judge to decide if they should be locked up or whatever, if they should be detained after this for the pretrial or detainment or whatever. Detention is what I guess what they call it, pretrial detention.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, what do these people do until the judge determines whether or not they're a flight risk or a risk to the safety of the public or a certain individual?
See, it doesn't even matter if they're a risk to a certain individual. That's not a reason to detain them. The only reason to detain them is if they're a flight risk. You somehow have to prove that they're a flight risk. Which, how are you ever going to prove? Say this is somebody's first or second offense, third offense even, and they've showed up to court for every one of them. How are you ever going to prove that they're a flight risk?
I don't know. On some of the, I guess on some, I don't know, I forget which particular charges it was for, but they said you had to prove that you were a risk to the safety of a specific person.
I think
was
those
one of them.
Yeah, I think that's only on like murder charges and shit, like serious charges.
Like if you murdered someone,
they're already
isn't that
dead.
specific person already?
They're already dead. Yeah,
the damage is done there. So
yeah, but I mean, either way, like this is so. But let's take a second and try to let's think about this from the other side, like just to play devil's advocate. Like say we grew up in Chicago and we're gangbangers, and you hate the police. Like there's a lot to this bill too that basically has to do with taking away, or I don't want to say taking away police rights, but making it very much harder on police too. It's got police reform in it. Let me see if I can. I got the article.
I should have wrote those down. Some of the things that I was watching or reading an article where they were trying to disprove some of the misinformation, and one of the things was about police officers and what they were required to do.
Well, it makes them everyone's required to wear a body camera if you're
I thought
a police
that was already
officer.
a thing, like nationwide.
Another aspect of it, and this is very interesting, they cannot look at their body camera before they make a statement, which is absurd. Because think about it, like how many times in a crazy violent situation, like you're not going to remember everything clear. You remember bits and pieces of it, and now you cannot look at your body camera. But they'll allow you to amend your statement because so you got to make your statement, then you can look at the body camera, and then you can amend your statement. So that's just ripe for the prosecutors or defendants to just go after that and say, "Hey, this is bullshit," total. And there's a lot of other aspects to it. They do away with chokeholds, police aspects, saying how police have to treat defendants. If somebody makes a complaint against a police officer, they cannot tell that police officer who has made the complaint against them. So they'll have, say Joe, the police officer, is accused of abusing someone or being rough with someone. There's a complaint put in against him. They won't tell that officer what case this is, absolutely nothing. He can't even defend himself because he doesn't know what particular case this is about. And there's other aspects to it, but all in all, what this is doing is it's rewarding criminals and thugs and gangbangers.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't see how you can view this in any other way.
Well, they see it as, at the core of it, it's probably one of the more racist bills out there, the way they defend it. Because they're like, all these people that are going to jail are all these black people, and they're all poor, and they can't afford their bond. They would definitely call that 100% racist if Republicans would say something like that.
Right. I would agree. But this also kind of started back under Obama's reign. He went through the police departments in America, and if they found that you were disproportionately arresting black men, I can't remember exactly what they did, what they called it, but there was a certain thing they did, kind of a demerit or something towards your department, and said, "Hey, you're racist. Stop acting like this."
They'll pay you less. They'll give your department less money.
Probably something like that.
So they're saying arrest more white people for money, or arrest less black people for money.
But they don't. Yeah, but they don't take into account like the situation in Chicago, like. The massive gang problem in that city is not the white suburbanites. It's the black inner city people. So of course they're going to be interacting with black people more, and that's not racist. That's just facts. That's just cold hard facts. And there's also some facts that, the blacks are 13% of the population, yet commit 50% of the murders in America. That's not racist. That's a statistic. First try. Thank you. But there's reasons for that, is because that culture and that they're, I don't know, it's an unfortunate situation that they're put in at this time. So I can kind of see why they would be, they would be behind this when that's all they've ever known. That's how they were raised and all this. But the rest of this, they're screwing the whole state over here. If you look at that state, they refuse to keep criminals in prison, but they're the eighth most. They have the eighth worst gun control in America. They're hard. It's extremely difficult to get a carry permit. You have to have a FOID card to even buy a gun and all this nonsense. So they're making it extremely difficult to protect yourself, yet they're letting all these criminals and rapists and arsonists and all these horrible people out, just right back out on the street. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't really understand what their game plan is here.
I don't either. But it's gonna get real worse come January 1st, because they've gave criminals a list of all the shit that they can get away with now, and there's no consequences. Interesting enough too, Box. Once you're arrested, they'll let you out, and then you have a court date. And if you don't go to the court date, they send you a notice and sorry you missed your court date. Come to this next one. They can't even put a warrant out until you miss your second court date. So you don't even have to, it's not.
We're sorry we were such an inconvenience for you.
Right. Sorry you raped this girl or murdered this person. You should probably come to your court date now. Oh, you didn't make it? Okay, well, try to come next time. It's.
We understand you're going through a lot at this time.
Yeah. I think ultimately what it boils down to, though, is, it's woke nonsense, but people's refusal to accept responsibility for their own life. They're saying that, all these people, these poor minorities, since they are subject to such it's not their fault. It's not their fault they're committing these crimes.
They're in their position because of where they're located and the policies that they live under.
Right. Which, first off, let me clarify that I understand that there are some people in bad situations, like, children that were born in these horrible situations, the ghettos, and that's what they grew up with, and they don't have it. It doesn't seem to them that they have an option except to go into that life. But that doesn't justify you committing crimes. That doesn't justify you doing these horrible things and blaming it on someone else. Ultimately, your life is your responsibility. And they refuse to accept that, and they refuse to accept that for anyone if they're a minority or an underprivileged person. It's not their fault, they keep telling them.
Well, I'm glad you said that, and I was just thinking about that. One thing that I've heard over the years, and I really agree with it, actually, is it may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. There's a difference
100%.
Between the two.
100%.
It's not your fault that you're in that situation, but it is 100% your responsibility to deal with that situation and get out of that situation and make the best of that situation. Doesn't matter who put you there.
Right.
It's up to you to get out of it, though.
That is, you haven't read this book, but this is, I'm going to put it right in the camera there, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. This dude is an ex-Navy SEAL. This is actually one of my favorite books I've ever read in my entire life. I think that if everyone in America read this book and took it to heart, that it would solve all of our problems. But it talks about exactly that. And it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility. Taking ownership of all this shit. So it's not your fault that you were born in a shitty situation, but you'd better take responsibility for that. And if you make stupid decisions, those are your fault. That is your fault. That is your responsibility. You're not free from these from the consequences because you were in a shitty situation. I think that's something that's horribly missed in America right now, is taking responsibility for your own freaking actions.
Is responsibility the same as accountability?
I would say.
I think it's very close to the same, at least, right?
Right. I would say so. So.
I was just wondering about that.
But like I said, this is one of I absolutely love this book, and I'm actually due to read it again. I was just thinking about that. And actually, if you're into reading, we just started a book club.
Super manly book club.
It's not as fammy as it sounds. But we're reading books like this. What book are we reading currently, Bach?
Violence of Mind by Varg Freeborn.
See? Manly stuff. What does that book talk about exactly, Box?
It's how to deal with extreme violence. So it's like the first 70% of the book, I think, is talking about it's mostly, obviously by the title, violence of mind. It's the mental aspect of being involved with extreme violence, whether it's self-defense or something like that. It's how to deal with that and move on with it. And most of it actually is how to avoid violence, really.
Right. So yeah, if you're interested in our book club, we're reading books like that. Extreme Ownership, we'll be reading all sorts of books on the philosophy of self-defense, and maybe even some philosophy. I don't know, all sorts of good shit.
Socrates,
just to make us better Americans, I guess we should say. If you're interested in that, go and check out the Facebook group, Life Short Live Free. That's where we're talking about it currently. And then we may get together and like discuss it on a Zoom. You're not obligated to do anything or to join us or anything, but you can follow along with us at least. So kind of interesting. But yeah, a lot of shit that I took from this book, like when I started this, I don't know, I read this several years ago, and it kind of opened my eyes to what it really means to take extreme ownership. But like, say a lot of the book is talking about being a leader and taking responsibility for everything, because there's a lot of people, like say Bob owns a business and he's got someone below him who has people below him and who has people below him. And some people on the bottom rung, they were doing something that wasn't quite up to snuff. Something's not quite right. Well, Bob, the owner, he has a couple options. He could get pissed off and go and yell at everybody and, make the situation worse. Or he could realize, wow, I take responsibility for this. Why does he take responsibility for this? Because the people that he runs, the people that he oversees, he clearly did not specify enough. He didn't make his feelings clear about what has to be done correctly in the whole situation. So ultimately, he takes responsibility for that. He fixes a problem, and life goes on. And that's kind of like the, down and dirty as it pertains to business. I tend to think of everything in a business aspect, but
I'm not disagreeing with anything that's said there. I'm just curious about this. Wouldn't that create less self-accountability for the employees, though? When they feel like, oh, nothing's our fault because our boss didn't tell us. So how do we avoid that?
Because those employees need to be taking responsibility too.
But if the owner takes full responsibility for it because he didn't teach him well enough, wouldn't they be more inclined to be like, well, it wasn't really all my fault, so I don't need to try as hard as I should?
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying. And if you're curious about this, just go and listen to Jocko Willink. He's got a podcast and he explains it far better than I ever could. But no, that's not really how I took it. It's not like it's for basically everyone. They go like, he has a business doing this. He goes and he interacts with the entire business. Gets everyone up to speed on it. And where this came from, he was a U.S. Navy SEAL. I might have said that already. But just like being on a mission, and he's the commanding officer, something happens. One of his men didn't do the right thing. He's taking responsibility for it. He realizes that, wow, I screwed up. I didn't train my men good enough. I didn't clarify good enough. I didn't specifically say. And I've dealt with this in several situations. Well, hell, even on this podcast, I was reading this book when we were just starting this podcast, or just down on it, and I don't even remember what happened. It was somebody else on the podcast that was pissing me off, and it was something that I wanted done, and I realized, well, wait, I didn't.
It was me.
There's a very good possibility. I don't remember if it was or not.
I remember it.
But I guess what? I realized that I did not explain myself good enough. I did not clarify exactly what needed to be done in the correct way that whoever it was understood it clearly. And that was ultimately my fault. And I think, that has so much truth to it. Because and like I said, I'm just going to revert back to business because this is my mindset. But if you clearly have trained your employees correctly, they're going to do things correctly. If you have not trained them correctly, they're not going to do things correctly. If you have a shitty employee, wow, I shouldn't have hired him. This is my fault. I should have seen through that. Ultimately, it's still your fault. So I don't know. I really resonate with everything in there. And I think ultimately, back to the Safety Act, this is what it boils down to. Nobody's responsible for their own shit anymore. They just want a free pass. And that's what they're getting out there.
I agree. I've been having trouble trying to formulate actual thoughts on this. I see the correlation between taking responsibility and this act, but I don't know how to put it into words, really. Like it's I don't know, it's not, the government is no longer being that good leader anymore. They're just saying, oh, it's okay that you totally f***ed up in life, or that you did this awful, awful thing. Totally okay with that, and you don't need to really be accountable for it.
Right.
That might be putting it a little bit extreme because they still have to face the charges and stuff like that. But
there's Kim Fox is a prosecutor out there in the Chicagoland area, and guess what? Most of those charges are fucking dropped or plead out, or they don't ever prosecute these people. Like there's so many. They just dump them back on the street. So they're not getting prosecuted for a lot of this shit, Even 12% of the crimes, 12% are reported crimes, and that's reported crimes. Keep in mind the massive distrust of police out there and how many go unreported. But only 12%, there's even an arrest in them, and then even far less than that are prosecuted successfully. So you're looking at maybe 5 to 10% on a good day of crimes that are prosecuted out there successfully. So they're basically giving everyone a free pass. But I guarantee you, if you were some law-abiding citizen trying to do right, I'm driving through Chicago, somebody carjacks me and I shoot him in the face, I'm going to fucking prison because I don't have a permit to carry out there. They'll throw you to the wolves.
You're the wolves.
Wolves.
Yeah, you're a danger to society, so you're going to be detained.
Yeah, that's just like how I say bagel. I don't say wolves and bagel right.
I don't know how to reply to that.
Bagel? Is it bagel or bagel?
I say bagel.
I don't know. Kendra's giving me shit for saying bagel wrong the other day. But
interesting.
Yeah, it's this. But too, like look at what's been going on the last 12 years at least. That we have one specific party telling people in America that if you're a minority, if you're anyone other than a white straight male, it's not your fault. You're a victim. And you are never going to succeed in life. That is literally their entire fucking message to all of America right now. You're a victim. You're pathetic. Vote for us. We're going to fix it for you because you're never going to succeed in life. That's the entire message.
Yeah, pretty much. I wonder, but they're kind of saying, well, it's our responsibility to fix your problems and taking that burden.
They're taking accountability.
Yeah. They're pretending to. They're 100% not. And whenever they're pushed to, they're like, "Oh no, that's." They put on like they are to these people, so those people are like, "Ah, I feel better now because that wasn't really. That's not. I don't have to deal with that. They're gonna make things better for me."
Yeah, but too in our theory, this is kind of our theme of the last couple podcasts. I remember you actually get a dopamine hit from acting like a victim. If you telling somebody say I came in here and, Pox, man, my day's been going so shitty. I got pulled over. I got a ticket. And oh, man, I'm sorry. That's like you would ever fucking say that to me. But
yeah, I'd be like, wow, you're fucking stupid.
Okay, but say I was talking to my girlfriend. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. That sucks. You get a little dopamine hit from acting like a victim. And they're using psychology to get votes, like telling people like, hey, you're a victim. Your life is pathetic. You're never going to make anything of yourself because the system is so crushing down on you. They're using psychology to get votes, essentially.
That's odd. I wouldn't have guessed that.
That you get dopamine from acting like a victim?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an addictive thing. Think of somebody that you know that they do nothing but complain. Like, I'm sure everybody knows something. You got, whether it's a Facebook friend or it's an actual acquaintance that you see on a semi-daily basis.
Used to work with one.
It's addictive. It's addictive. And you hate those. Everybody hates those people, but it is. But just think about like what's been going on with the whole student loan forgiveness thing. Look at that entire the entire news media around that entire thing, telling people you were taken advantage of, you were lied to, you were screwed over. No, you signed your fucking name on the dotted line and you said you would pay this money back. You knew the fucking consequences. You knew the challenges, yet they're telling people they're victims.
In this case, it is your fault and it is your responsibility.
Fucking 100%. And let me make this very clear. You're also completely batshit crazy not to take advantage of this. So if they're offering it to you, take fucking advantage of it, because I guarantee they're going to turn around and fuck you the next chance they get. So yes, absolutely. But
the forgiveness,
yes,
it's taxed.
What's taxed?
They tax you. You have to report it.
What?
Yes.
What? So if you get 10,000 in student loan forgiveness, you have to report 10,000.
The way I understood it,
No.
yes, they tax your fucking student forgiveness.
No way. Wow.
I could be wrong,
I should look into that. If that's the case, that's freaking absolutely
that wouldn't
insane.
surprise me a little bit. They taxed the fucking COVID payments, didn't they?
No, I'm pretty sure those were tax free. I'm almost positive those were tax free. At least the initial ones that you got, like the one that I think they gave us like $1,000 or 24. I can't remember what it was, but if that's true, that's fucking insane.
I've seen some things about it. I guess I haven't verified it, but
yeah,
I mean, it's totally believable to me.
I would believe it, but think about it. That's what it is. They're telling people, "Oh, you poor person, that you're a victim. You can't take responsibility for this." No, you signed the goddamn papers. You said you would pay it back. Pay it back. I don't care what fucking excuse you have. It doesn't matter. There is not an excuse in the world good enough for you to put your payments on the taxpayer, some hardworking person that never went to college, that took out a loan for a truck to start his own business. There's not an excuse good enough in the world. I don't give a shit what it is.
What do you think is the cause of all this? The lack of accountability or responsibility? Is it? I mean, it's definitely a combination of things. But what do you think is the biggest contributor? Is it parenting styles, how they've changed over the last 40 years? Is it government policies?
I think ultimately it was a shift in parental, the way parents treated their children. We got they don't keep score anymore.
It all started with fucking participation trophies.
I think absolutely it did, 100%. Absolutely. Oh, you're a winner. You don't worry about winning and losing. You deserve this trophy. There's no accountability. And there still is, like in our part of the country, you still go to games, they still win. They still win and lose, and that's what it is. That's great. But there's so many people that, they get their ass kicked. The one team scores 12. These guys score 1. Oh, you did good, son. We can still go to Sonic. No, you sucked. You did not do good. I'm still proud of you. I'm still proud of putting in your best, effort, but your team didn't win tonight.
Yeah. You got to be real.
Son.
You're not good at this sport.
Well, I'm sorry. That absolutely
some people
should
aren't
be how
good
it
at
is.
things.
And when I was in junior high, I remember this. We were in the championship game. We all year we're kicking ass in baseball, and it was a championship game. Michael DeWall hit a home run, put us over the top in the last inning. We would have won. He was running around the bases, and keep in mind we're in junior high. He gets to third base. The coach picks him up, spins him around in a circle, puts him back down. He runs to home, touches home base. The coach says, "Sorry, this does not count. That home run does not count. You guys don't win." We ended up losing that game because of some bullshit rule. Guess what? That's the fucking rule. He shouldn't have called it. But and that was that was a hard lesson to learn. I don't quite understand the lesson, but that's what it was. Like, that's what it was when I was growing up. Like, there wasn't none of this bullshit. Here's your participation trophy for trying, son. No, you guys didn't win. That sucks. Too bad. Move on with your life. I think that is one of the biggest things that is causing all this nonsense. Absolutely. Because now the people that grew up like that are getting into power, and they're like, oh, it's okay, we don't care if you win or lose.
Participation trophies are the downfall of America.
I think they have a lot to do with it. I absolutely do.
That was the beginning of the woke era, I believe. Maybe.
Well,
maybe it started below.
It.
Maybe it started before then, but I was too young to. I don't know what had happened before. I remember when it came about and everyone was bitching about it.
I think it kind of started during the Obama era, the Obama years.
No, it was before that.
You think?
Yeah, I got participation trophies in fucking track.
Really?
Yeah, or ribbons, or was that just something they did for all elementary kids?
No, you didn't get any. There weren't participation. You had to actually place to get a ribbon. When I was in elementary.
Oh yeah, I definitely got participation ribbons in track when I was
little. They
little.
didn't want you to feel bad.
Well, I still did because I
little bastard. You were slow. You did not run good enough. You should not get shit.
I lost, so I felt bad. Actually, I don't think I gave a single because I was like, this is track and it's stupid.
I actually did fantastic in that elementary track meet. I was a quick little bastard. But ultimately, yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. And now we're here, and they're dumping somebody's student loan that went to school for 4 years, partied their ass off, was a complete piece of shit. Doesn't use their degree at all. They're dumping that off on Joe, the working man, who took out a loan for his truck to start his construction business, worked his ass off. Does he get his loan forgiven? No, he's got to pay someone else's loan now. It's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that pisses me off is the most is like there's people like just take it, man. Like if they're offering you, yeah, just take it. Don't try to justify it. Don't try to go and tell me, "Hey, this is why I deserve this." No, you don't deserve shit. Just take it, shut the fuck up, and be happy with it. That drives me nuts.
Yeah, tell me why you deserve this.
Right. I had this was years and years ago this was just after I got out of college, actually. It was an acquaintance. She was bitching on Facebook. And I think this was probably back in 2010 about student loans forgiveness. Oh, we need this. We pay so much student loan debt. Her husband was a fucking lawyer, and they were going to Europe for like a 2 or 3 week vacation. And she's bitching about not being able to afford their student loans. I'm like, how about you pay your student loans off before you go and make these stupid financial decisions?
Well, I went to school to be a lawyer so I could live this kind of lifestyle, and our student loans aren't allowing us to live that kind of lifestyle.
Well, you're an idiot. Sorry.
Well, you maybe have to wait a little bit longer until you live that kind of lifestyle.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's a sickness in America, and I hate seeing it, but what do you do? I think ultimately it starts at home, like we were just talking about, raising your kids up right to understand that there are consequences and responsibilities, and not everyone that participates is going to get a trophy, nor should they. But what do we do? How do we fix it at this point?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say it can't be fixed.
I don't think it can, Box. There's too many stupid people.
Surely it can. Because, I mean, look at the shift, the cultural shift over the last 40 years. We were at that point, but now we're in this shithole. Surely you can go another 40 years and take another cultural shift.
But if you look at societies in history, they never go the good way. It never shifts.
That's true.
It never shifts back to good. You get 250 years.
Usually
and then
Matchbox 20.
Huh?
Sorry, nothing. You said back to good, and it's a Matchbox 20 song.
Yeah. I mean, you get around 250 years for an empire, and it starts crumbling, and then it never goes back to good until, I mean, a lot of people die, and the good men come out on top, and then everything starts over again. I think, unfortunately, I don't see it being fixed. I think there's too many people dependent on the system. There's too many people that weren't raised well enough to understand that the merits of working for your own shit. They're paying too many people. That's just my 2 cents. I just don't see it. I don't see it being fixable.
I don't know. I think I agree. It's a long shot. It's a real long shot.
Right. But there's no reason why we can't still we can't still have our families and our communities. Like our little tiny community in Northwest Iowa, we don't have to be inundated with this absolute sickness of of wokeness coming in from every angle. We can still raise our families to be good people.
Maybe we can start a commune where we don't get the outside world.
Yeah. Go out to Johnson's and start a commune.
Yeah, don't get any we can have cell phones and shit, but you don't get the internet where it's only inside of the commune. You know, real cult like shit.
Well, I think now you're going the other direction, Box.
No, we need a cult. We need a cult. It's the only answer.
So, if you want to join the LSLF cult, let us know. We'll get one fired right up.
I mean, we could probably sell shirts that said LSLF cult.
We probably could.
Delivery cult.
I'm sure we could.
We'd sell like 4 of them.
But yeah, back to, what can we do? That's all you can do is raise your families, and raise your children, and help your community to live the way that we should be living, not this way that everyone's going. And also one aspect that we did not talk about out of all this is the poor bastards in Illinois and Chicago that are just completely going to be dumped on, full of criminals, just horrible situations, and they're still not able to defend themselves. They're passing more and more restrictive gun laws out there, and letting criminals out faster and faster. It's lunacy.
I saw when I was I watched a couple videos about this law, the Safety Act, and I came across, it was about the misinformation, and one of the comments in the YouTube comments was some lady was trying to explain it and saying this is not really all accurate, and then she was like, yeah, well, the prison population is already down by 40%. I'm like, okay, well,
why is that a good thing?
This hasn't even gone into effect yet. I mean, parts of it have. I'm not sure which of them do have, but that doesn't go into effect till January. And who are these criminals that they're letting out? How is that your definition of this is doing what it's supposed to do? Is we're letting criminals out of prison? What is that? I don't understand how that equates to being a good thing.
Yeah, one thing there's come the first when this takes effect, I think there's 400 and some criminals that will be let out as soon as it's enacted, just because you're not in trouble anymore. Here you go, free pass, get out of jail free card. So yeah, as far as my biggest recommendation is get the fuck out of Chicago. Illinois in general, but at the very least out of Chicago. I understand that's not realistic for some people. But get to some place that values your freedom, values your right to support yourself. Number one. And if that's not doable, take classes. You are responsible for your own safety. And one thing of this act too is they're basically handcuffing police. They're making it so much harder to do their job. They're making it to the point where these police officers aren't going to intervene when they don't have to. Your life is not worth it to them. I mean, to intervene. They're not there to protect your life anymore. I mean, they're being so handcuffed. They can't even really protect anymore.
One of the things I came across when I was reading about the misinformation that's been spread, that the Republicans are spreading about the Safety Act, was the claim that on this website called Injustice Watch, the claim is the Safety Act will usher in a purge era in Illinois in which criminals will roam free and police can't do anything to stop them. And their rebuttal to that is, this is patently untrue. The Safety Act does not stop police from arresting people for crimes. The Safety Act, however, does require police officers to provide aid after using force and requires officers to intervene if other officers use unauthorized or excessive force. What the kind of law is that? Every single shooting I've ever seen, the police officers render aid.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they do.
They don't want to kill someone. They don't want that on their conscience. Yeah, it's going to be a shit show out there.
And the excessive force thing. So who's to be the judge that one officer is using excessive force? What if the other officer is just a total bitch and scared to intervene with anything?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, you're using excessive force," and he tases his own officer.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I don't understand how they come up with this shit.
There's a lot. You have to be licensed now to be a police officer, and there's a way that if there's complaints against you, they can take away your license, so you can't be a police officer anymore. There's a whole list of offenses that a massive list of offenses that if a police officer gets in trouble for, they automatically lose their license. There's tons, and already their police force in Chicago is at a low, like the lowest that it's ever been. Their recruits are the lowest.
Why would it not be?
Why would anyone want to do that job? It's just going to be completely out of control, just a shithole. Just get out of the big cities. Get your family to at least the rural areas if you can't get out of Illinois. And learn to protect yourself and your family, because the shit is only going to get worse. It's absolutely
Chicago is going to be like the epicenter of the apocalypse. It's just going to be the most fucking desolate, run-down piece of shit place that you can find, where there's nothing but criminals and degenerates.
Probably.
That might be 50, 100 years from now, but they keep going the way they are, then.
Yeah, I don't know. It's headed that way. Headed that way pretty quick. So, yeah, without harping on it anymore, it's a shitty situation. Ultimately, the moral of the story is take responsibility for your own freaking actions. Read this book, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. I value his opinion greatly. The guy's he's an awesome dude, very intelligent fella. And I think if you actually read this book, it'll really change your outlook on a lot of things. It's a great book.
Either that or you'll be like, nah, that's not really my responsibility.
Forgive my student loans, please.
Yep.
I want to be a lazy SOB.
I would like to hear somebody that disagrees with the ideas that are presented in that book.
I'm sure there's
I wonder what they are.
I'm sure there's plenty of people that disagree with it.
Oh, I know there is. I would like to hear that side of it, though.
Well, it would most likely be a person with pronouns saying how unfortunate their life has been up to this point. But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't see how you could read that book and think actually take to heart those ideas and really read about it and truly understand what he's saying and disagree with it. It doesn't make any sense to me, but there's plenty of people that do. So I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the whole issue, the whole Safety Act and taking responsibility for your own shit box. You got anything to add to that?
Shit box? Huh. No, I really don't have as much to say as I thought I did. I don't know. I can't really formulate any thoughts tonight.
I know how that goes. I've kind of been I got kind of in a brain fog today. It's been an interesting day. I was doing a bunch of Bush Light ARs, and those just kind of fry my brain just because they're so monotonously boring and ugh.
Oh, I was raring to go this morning. I was fucking kicking ass this morning over stuff that didn't really fucking matter, but
podcast stuff.
Yeah.
You hear that, guys? He was kicking ass for you guys to bring you a better show.
Trying anyways.
Yeah, if you enjoy the show, let us know. Give us some ideas of stuff to talk about. We're kind of taking it in a little bit of a different direction. We're going to keep the ridiculousness and the freedom aspect and all that stuff. We're still doing the live segment. Are we still calling it Gears and Beers Box?
I think we are for now. Maybe we'll change it at the end of the season.
We're still doing the Gears and Beers every other Wednesday night at 8:30 on our Facebook website, lifeshortlivefree.com, YouTube, and Twitch. You can join in the conversation on pretty much all. Have we figured that out yet?
Yeah, it's all good to go. You can chat on all of them, and we'll see them on the screen.
Yeah, so you can any one of those. You can join in on the conversation with us. Also, we have a forum on Life Short Live Free. You can join in the conversation as well.
I added some forums in there actually.
Did you?
The other day, yeah.
Like what?
I called it. There's one section that I call Knowledge Swap. So I got a forum in there for literature. I got some in there for health and nutrition. And one other one, too. I can't remember what it was.
Interesting. Yeah, so go check that out. The forum on Life Short Live Free. And yeah, you can join our book club, of course, if you're interested in the kind of things that we're talking about. And if you are, please let your like-minded friends know as well. We're always looking for new listeners, new members to join in on the
our cult.
Freedom. Yeah, let us know if you want to join the cult. We're going to get one started here shortly, so. But yeah, that's about all we've got for you tonight, guys. That's a little bit shorter episode than the last one. I think the last one was over 2 hours.
Something like that.
But I really enjoyed that last one. That was one of my favorite ones we've done thus far. So if you enjoyed it, let us know. Until then, we'll be back in 2 weeks. You can make sure and listen to us on lifeshortlivefree.com and all major podcast providers. And join in the conversation every other Wednesday night at 8:30. But other than that, that's about all we got for you guys. We're going to sign off. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like to contribute to us, go to subscribestar.com, search lifeshortlivefree.com, or search Life Short Live Free, and you can get access to our Patreon type group. You get goodies in there, of course. We're not just asking for your money. We also give you some stuff. So, yeah. That's all we got for you guys. Thanks for sticking around. Until we talk to you next time. Remember, Life Short, Live Free. God bless. God bless the United States of America.
Defund the ATF.
Repeal the NFA.
Eat and chips.
And pickle vodka.